Hi, Cindy.
Hey Dave, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you. Oh, look at all those lovely bottles of wine behind you. My goodness.
Yeah, I live in wine country, so yeah, that's sort of when we run out of room in the wine cabinet, my wife starts putting up on the credenza behind me.
Oh, I love it. I
It's to
love
remind me
it.
that we have something else to do, and that's to have a nice bottle of wine at some point today.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for setting this up today.
Yeah, you know what? I thoroughly appreciate the opportunity to continue our networking journey that we started a couple of days ago on LinkedIn. And what would be, I think, really helpful today is just for us to sort of maybe bounce off some questions. I mean, we've had a couple of days to think about our last conversation and maybe how we can help each other. And if you've got any specific questions you want to ask, maybe we can start there, and then I'll come back and ask you some questions and see how we can just sort of collaborate.
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful. Well, you gave me a lot of food for thought in our conversation the other day about how I'm really putting myself out there and being more directive in
Mhm.
saying exactly what I think the value I bring to the table is. And when I thought about it, I said, really, what I'm focused on is really helping women change their mindset to focus on their success and working from the result backwards. Walking into being that person that already has achieved
Mhm.
what is that vision of success in their mind. And the reason I think I can do that is because I am that person. I have
Mhm.
done that transformation on myself. And I am currently walking as the person who is already a six-figure life coach. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Awesome. That's awesome. So the only thing I would add to that really is, and you can chime in anytime and tell me how you might deviate from the thought process. When I think about sort of deconstructing success, I like to one of the biggest challenges or things that I was looking for in success was happiness.
Hmm.
And to give you a quick story, when I was training for my first Ironman, I was not a happy person. I'd had success in my life, but I'd also had failure. And I just really wasn't sure. I was in my mid 40s. I'd had a health scare. I really wasn't sure what the future was holding for me and where I wanted to go with it. And I realized really quickly that I was using exercise as a way to sort of meditate and a way to try to find happiness. And I had this misunderstanding that I thought when I crossed my first Ironman finish line that somehow, the skies would open up and all of a sudden I would feel successful, right? And,
Right.
and when that happened, I was kind of like, when I crossed that finish line, I remember very distinctly turning around, looking at the clock and going, okay, that was okay, but I could have done better. How can I be better? And I allowed myself to really enjoy success for about 5 seconds. And then
Interesting.
I reframed what success looked like. So in having that experience, um, I recently read a book, well, recently, the last couple of years, read a book, some of Sean Acor's work. Are you familiar with Sean Acor?
Yes, I am.
Right. So his definition, he gave a talk at Google, and I've seen his TED talk many times, and it was wonderful and everything. But he gave a talk at Google, and he said something that he didn't say in his TED talk, and he said, "I want you to start looking at success and happiness differently than the way we normally do, because most people say, when I'm successful, then I'll be happy." And when we do that, as soon as we cross that finish line of success or hit that goal, we immediately in our minds we tell ourselves, okay, we did that, so the bar has just been changed. We've just changed the goalpost of what success looks like. So when I crossed that finish line, I went, well, 14 hours is good, but I can be better. So I didn't allow myself to be happy because I just changed what success looks like. And it's really tough from a mental standpoint. I know there's a lot of science behind it, but just from a layman's terms, from a mental standpoint, it's really hard, and you get hard on yourself when you feel like you've never actually achieved success. So in listening to one of Sean's talks at Google, what he said was, I want you to start redefining happiness as the joy you feel while striving for your full potential every day. And when you reframe it that way, then you can say to yourself, okay, what are the habits that I'm doing every day that are going to lead to my success? And when you frame it that way and say to yourself, you know, can I be happy today? Did I find joy in the 10 things that I needed to do today in order to be that person that I aspire to be, or to live that life that I aspire to live? And when you can break it down and say, I'm happy every day. I'm not going to wait for happiness for 10 years from now when I'm finally that person. I'm going to enjoy happiness every day along the way. And that's huge. I mean, from a mindset position,
Yep.
it is absolutely huge that you take ownership of your happiness every day.
And I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard it described that way before. So that's, I often give Sean credit. I mean, I always give Sean credit, but, when I hear somebody give me a little nugget of wisdom that is just defined in a way that makes so much sense, and I can relate it to my life. And I think that's part of the challenge as leaders and as coaches, is helping those people that we're coaching to not only think about what that vision is 5-10 years down the road, what they aspire to be, but how can you help them feel success and happiness every day in
Right.
developing those habits, taking those steps, and feeling really good about the fact that you're making progress. Because you may not, it's like trying to lose weight. You may not see the progress on the scale for the first 5 days, 4 weeks. But if you are consistent over the course of a year, you're going to see good things happening. And if good things aren't happening, your recipe's broken.
Right.
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 You've got to go back and readjust.
And I love the way that you put it, and I'm actually going to steal that from you, because
Absolutely.
a lot of the ways that I do it, and I coach in a very similar way, that I say you have a choice to be happy every day. Mm-hmm. You have a choice to take joy and come from a place of abundance every day while trying to achieve a goal. And the way that the metaphor that I've often used with my clients is that Christmas is fun. People love Christmas, but it's Christmas Day itself is one day. It's the anticipation of Christmas. It's that excitement, that joy of leading to Christmas that makes it so fun on that day. Mm-hmm. And I kind of equate that to the way their goals are, that once you achieve your goal, you're going to immediately set another goal. You're going to set the next step. So the way to feel going into it is taking control and saying, I can be happy and have gratitude for every step along the way, and the anticipation of the achievement and the joy of seeing each milestone I achieve in that progress. You know what I mean? So It's a very similar mindset, but I love the way that you put that, Sean put it. You know what I mean? That's a lovely way to word it.
Yeah. I've been asked so many times, actually, it's funny. you mentioned these things in public places, and then people will reach out to you and say, what did you say again? Can you write that down? I want to say it to my kids, and I always get asked. So, I try to publish that everywhere that I can, but I always give Sean credit, because I think credit, obviously you give credit where credit's due. And I think a lot of the self-help world out there basically is the same principles, only regurgitated. There's very little new science that's coming out that's saying this is groundbreaking stuff. What you find is that people listen to the science, they listen to the analogies, and they find ways to make the science more relative. I mean, I think we were talking the other day about Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, and then James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. And really what James did was he took Charles's research and a number of other people's research, secondary research, and was able to just articulate that in maybe a clearer way that more people could relate to. So, I think storytelling as a coach is so important. And for us to have the ability to not necessarily tell our clients' story, but to help them see themselves as the hero of their own story within their journey. I think that is a real talent, a real gift. And it's one that not very many leaders possess. Quite often people will say, I've got this great vision, so we should all just follow along. And, you go, what? It's like what's the Pied Piper? Why are there mice following me? I'm saying all the right things. Why is nobody following me? Well, it's because people didn't buy into the vision. Yeah. So, I think vision is huge. Storytelling is huge. Being able to engage people is huge. It's all these little mindset cues. Life really, I think what we've done is we've just, with all the technology that we have, which is wonderful, we've overcomplicated things. And I think if we just take a step back and we ask ourselves, really, what are the most important, what are the most valuable things to us as people? Is it your
Mm-hmm.
family, your health? Let's start from there, because if you're going to work and you're coming home from work so depleted that you've got nothing left to give to your family, well, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
We're not here to work ourselves to death. That is not the point. At least I don't believe it's the point.
No, I don't believe it's the point either.
If you ask Elon Musk, he'll tell you something completely different, because he works
Of
80 hours a
course.
day or 80 hours a week, and he loves it. And clearly he thrives. But you know what? I also believe that if you've set a goal to make millions and millions and millions of dollars, then there's a certain lifestyle and work habits that have to come with that. If you can be content with a six-figure income and really enjoy your life and share what you've learned with others, where I think you and I maybe are in that sort of realm,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? There are plenty of opportunities as coaches, as business people, for people to, if they like your message, if it's clear enough, and they think it resonates with their audience, which would be their workplace, they'll bring you in and pay you as a speaker or as a consultant. You know this. So
Yeah.
what's really great here on LinkedIn and on YouTube is that we get the opportunity now to share the message with those who might not otherwise have the opportunity to hear it. And I think that's how you grow your following on LinkedIn, is just have real honest conversations, talk from your experience. And if people like what you're saying, great. If they don't, that's fine too.
Right.
Everybody
Right.
doesn't have to like me,
That's right. And that's what it is. I mean, the whole, this with coaching, it's people choose to work with you because they can relate to you
Yeah.
in the way that you talk to them triggers in their mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a relationship. And, it's so funny because I just actually coached a client today who I said to her, she said, well, money's really not that important to me. She said, it's having time to enjoy things. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like I have the time because I'm having to work just to make enough money to make ends meet. And we were talking about her goal of wanting to get promoted and move up the organization so that she could make more money. And I said to her, I said, you need to stop focusing on that you're working for dollars. I said, realize that the value is in that money buys you time. I said, because if you get that promotion and if you achieve that goal, that additional money is going to allow you to hire people to take some things off your plate. And that's going to free up time to do some of these other enjoyable things that you don't think you can do. I said, so I want you to start thinking about that the value of money is that it buys you time, not the actual amount you're achieving. And look at how much money do you want to be making to buy enough time to do those other things you want to that are going to be enjoyable for you, that are going to bring more value into your life and allow you to lead those things that you really believe are joyful to you and are necessary to achieving a balance between your work and your home life.
So let me ask you a fun question. So I'm not sure of the clients that you coach, but let's say I'm noticing on LinkedIn that there are an awful lot of people who are calling themselves coaches and mentors and consultants who've never had a single client, who don't know how to market themselves effectively on LinkedIn. And they need to make a living, right? They still need the money. They're in that beginning phases of their career where they're trying to make ends meet. So
Right.
how would you approach somebody who is faced with all the challenges that your clients are faced with, and they're just getting started? How would you approach them and say, you know what, you do need to make money, but how do you market yourself in order to do that? Because I see a lot of people sort of pretending on LinkedIn. They put up a persona that they're this person, but really they've got nothing to back that up other than maybe a little bit of work experience. So when somebody comes to you and says, I want to be, a coach, consultant, a business owner, whatever, how do you go at them and say, money is important because it's going to buy you time, but how do you help them actually build the confidence to get that first gig, that first customer? Get the ball rolling.
Well, I think that similar to what I've done for myself, because I'm really kind of still, I've been coaching for a couple of years now, but really was just doing it mainly pro bono to build experience. You know what I mean? Before I launched this business at the beginning of the year. And the way that I had to do it for myself was putting my mindset in the position of having already done it without being dishonest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being able to say to myself when I walk into, or when I'm on a video conference with somebody, getting comfortable saying, I'm a life coach, and people can get value out of what I have to give, and people are going to want it once they hear my message. And, so the way I would approach somebody is saying, you have to get comfortable in the person you want to become. And then when you start having consultations with people, you can be honest and say, hey, I've got all the skill sets, I've got all the acumen to do this work for you. But I have just launched my business and I am building my clientele at this time. Give me the opportunity to show you what I can do. You know what I mean?
So you've started your business in the last year, and now you're trying to market. I mean, do you look at LinkedIn as an opportunity to market yourself, or do you look at it as just sort of a social media platform that's just sort of there off to the side? How valuable?
Oh no, I absolutely look at it as a way to market myself.
Right.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that for a minute. When somebody's new to LinkedIn or new to the entrepreneurial world, and let's talk about positioning or branding themselves on LinkedIn, because I think quite often too many people see LinkedIn as a placeholder for their resume, and they sort of pound their chests a little bit about some of their work experience, but they don't see it as an opportunity to brand themselves as a problem solver. And I think we had this conversation the other day about, I often go to so many people's profile sections and I see the profile's empty. It's lots of work experience, but there's no profile. There's no, how can you help me solve my problem? What do you do differently, and why should I care? That was a sentence that Arlene Dickinson gave on Dragon's Den, on the Canadian version of Dragon's Den, I'm going to say 10 years ago. And she looked at an entrepreneur and she said, what do you do differently and why should I care? And that's always stuck with me, because when I read somebody's LinkedIn page, the first thing I should see when I look about them, it should say, what do you do differently and why should I care? You've got to get the hook in there to start building that credibility of the value that you're going to bring. So I think one thing that could be of use to people who might be seeing this on LinkedIn or on YouTube is just understanding the value of having a completed LinkedIn profile. Think of messaging that's on there. It's not more or less a report card. I mean, it's nice to have all the different credentials of all the organizations you worked with or some of the volunteer work that you've done. That's always great. I don't normally go down to those sections very often when I'm looking at people. To me, it's what is the quick, 2 or 3 positions that you've held. Tell me in your about section, without me having to scroll down the page, in that 2 or 3 lines, what can I learn about you that's going to keep me here? What's going to engage me? Why will I want to stay here and learn more?
And and that's fantastic, because that is exactly what I hope that people will see in the transformation of me. That my profile is transforming now. That LinkedIn has become my main way that I'm marketing and building relationships now. And through learning from people who are more experienced with it, like you, I am transforming my own profile. And if people come to me and contact me, that's going to be one of the first things I'm going to say to them is, why do you want to come to me? Because I am, as another fellow entrepreneur, learning just like you and building on the success. And where I can help you is getting the mindset that keeps you focused on wanting to go learn those skills so that you can transform your profile and turn it into a marketing tool for yourself.
So that's something. Yeah, I do. And that's something really interesting that you tapped into. I've got a really big question, and I've not been able to find the accurate answer to it yet. And it is, for my audience, which are human resource leaders, how often are they actually on LinkedIn? I think that you might have noticed as you increase your activity on LinkedIn, that you'll see that there are a lot of marketers on LinkedIn who are using it like another social media platform where it's the same sort of group of people commenting and creating influence amongst themselves, and it makes themselves look bigger, and they get more followings, and the dopamine flows, and it feels really good, but how genuine is it? And so I think I had this, I think I mentioned this to you the last time we spoke. I said, I would rather have 25 real connections who would actually engage with me a day than 100 that are just trying to build a following.
Yeah.
And the proof has kind of been in the pudding for me. And I think if you go and look at the daily content that I put out now, I know guys like Gary Vaynerchuk say that I should be putting out 100 pieces of content a day, which I think is totally overkill. And but that works on certain platforms for visibility and attention. I get that. But for somebody in the HR world who would hire me to come in, they're not on LinkedIn every day. They might be on LinkedIn once a month. So the question is, when they go through their news feed and maybe they're only connected to, say, 100 or 500 or 1,000 people, they're not going to see a lot of activity the way that other really high users of the platform are going to see. So your stuff really your content won't get buried as much as you think it will in their news feed. And that's the next question. Why would somebody actually go to the news feed? So one of the things that I mentioned, and I'll share this as a tip, and I got called out on it this morning, actually, so this is kind of a fun story. Whenever somebody connects with me from yesterday, so I get about 25 genuine connections a day. So when I put my video out the next day, because I do it 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, I ask a question, and then I ask for the 25 people. I mention them in the description of the post, and I say, would love to hear your thoughts. So what that does is two things. One, it lets people know that my audience is growing. But two, the next time that they log into LinkedIn, they're going to see in their network that there's a number one there. A little red dot says number one. There's a couple of messages there for you. And if you click on that to see what that is, they'll go, oh, Dave mentioned you in a post. Oh, I go to the post, and there I've got a 90-second video or a 60-second video that they've been asked to contribute to. So in my mind, what I've done is I've said, I don't need to bombard you. Nobody likes getting excessive emails. Nobody likes getting spammed. So if I give you one quality piece of content a day to look at, then when you do come back to LinkedIn, there's a message waiting for you. And it's non-intrusive. It's what's the best word to say it? It's not spammy. So, right. So the interesting part was, I've been doing this now probably for over a month, adapting this new tip. And there's two sides to this coin. The marketers of the world who know me, who are connected to me, who know how to really quickly just sort of spam out connections, will know. They'll go, oh, there's a whole bunch of names I don't know yet. Connect, right? And that really bothers professionals when that happens. I've noticed, and I've had a lot of feedback saying that I really appreciate the fact that you actually attached the message and said why you want to connect with me. And then when I reach back, you gave me an honest answer, not the automated answer that comes in the bottom of the message.
Yes.
And just like we're having a conversation today because we took it a step further and said, well, do we have value to share with each other? So this morning, one of those people who connected with me yesterday asked me very explicitly and made sure, she said, I want you to respond to this message so that I know you received it loud and clear. I do not want you mentioning my name unless I give you explicit permission. I thought, wow, like immediately I went, ooh, what did I do wrong? Ooh, all of a sudden my back went up. But then I thought, okay, she's one in 6,700 people who took a negative approach to me wanting to connect and mention them. Unfortunately, there are spammers of the world who will do that connect thing, and it's up to you to decide who you're going to make a valuable connection with on LinkedIn, right? It's on you. You don't have to connect with everybody.
Right.
And hey, 75% of the people I reach out to every day don't connect with me. They don't see the value of the connection. I'm not offended by that because it's like Simon Sinek said, how do you find people who are like-minded? Well, if we all wore red hats, it'd be easy. There's one. There's one. There's one.
Yeah, right.
But we don't all wear red hats. So I basically use the words that I feel people, if growth mindsets are important to you, if leadership is important to you, if these are topics you'd like to discuss in greater detail, then let's have those conversations and follow along. Follow me. You don't even have to connect with me. Just follow me so you'll see my information in your newsfeed. Well, when somebody connects with you, they automatically follow you anyway. Mm-hmm. So now the interesting thing is when that person finally comes back onto LinkedIn, maybe it's once a month or once every 2 weeks or whatever, mm-hmm. and they see that ad mentioned, you know what they're going to see when they see the conversation? It's not going to be a bunch of frivolous one-liners. If you look at what I'm so grateful for and what I'm so proud of right now is that the comments that are being left in the videos, below the videos on my daily content, mm-hmm. people are giving me 2 or 3 paragraphs deep of experience and knowledge and wisdom, and it's meaningful. Somebody took the time.
That's fantastic.
So so what I do every night, and again, I'm sharing a good best practice with people, is so I mention people, right? So that they'll see that video at some point. And mm-hmm. then every night, everybody who has actually engaged in the conversations, I add a post and say, hey, thank you. I'm so grateful that Cindy, you joined the conversation today. And Sam, you joined the conversation. And Sue, you joined the conversation. I'm so thankful that you did. You took the time. You added value to everybody who's going to read this post. In my mind, that adds so much more value because that's going to live on LinkedIn forever so long as the world doesn't blow up, right. As far as the foreseeable future can tell. So you're curating content. And I think there's a lot more value in that than putting out massive amounts of content so that you almost come across as kind of spammy. So, I
absolutely love that. I love that idea. And it's similar to what I wanted to try and start. But my question to you is, are you picking a different 25 people every day to take in your post, or is it?
No, what I do is, every day as a best practice, I reach out to 100 people in the HR world. I do a Boolean search, LinkedIn search engine, and it allows you, on the free membership, it allows you to connect with potential of 100 people a day. I think roundabout that's the number. So I connect with 100 people. I have an automated text message that explains that verb that I want to see if it resonates, and I customize it with their name. Now, there are bots out there that will do that for you in a fraction of the time.
I do the same thing. I do a very personal message where it's the same message sent to every person, but
do not use the bots, because if you do that, you will come across as spamming. And when that happens, if you get reported, you'll be pulled off LinkedIn. You won't be able to reopen your account. So A, you don't want that to happen. B, you want the conversation to be genuine. But then C, when those people connect with me, okay? So let's say Cindy's connected with me.
Yep.
I will send a thank you note out, which is also a pre-scripted thank you note, and I customize it with your name, and I provide a link to today's post so that you know who I am. So you know who I am. I've invited you to have a look because you're going to see me in your daily feed. So when you do see me, you know who I am, what I'm about. And so I've invited you to the post. And then tomorrow, I've invited you to comment on the post. And when you do see that, you're only going to see it once. You won't see it again, unless it's really something super specific. But I've mentioned Carmen Gallo a couple of times just because he's one of my mentors through his books and his YouTube videos, and we're connected on LinkedIn. So I'll mention him if I'm promoting his books, because I think it would be great if he weighed in on the conversation, seeing as how I'm promoting books. I don't know how many LinkedIn messages he gets a day and whether that's realistic or not, but he hasn't commented yet, but that's fine. He might at some point. But the point is, again, think of it as you're curating a database of knowledge. So from the learning industry, which I currently work in, we often talk about KMS, knowledge management systems. Where do we house our learning management and our knowledge management? Well, learning management is the courses that you take. Knowledge management is where do we house all of these great training pieces where people can go back to the library and get this great training. So I think of what I create on LinkedIn as my KMS, my knowledge management system. And I just don't feel right about having 100 pieces of content. So when somebody like a social media expert like Gary Vaynerchuk might say, well, put out 100 pieces of content today. Well, one piece of content might be the post that I put out, the video post. 5 pieces of content might be the personal responses to every single comment that's made, the thoughtful comments. I mean, I really am very thoughtful and try to give really good value in those comments, because I just try to share my experiences, and to do that, it takes 5 minutes to craft a nice comment. But there's 5 more examples of putting something out there. Then I go onto my news feed and I look for people like yourself who are putting content out where I might be able to say something positive to them. And if it resonates with me, just like I wouldn't ask anybody to comment or like something that didn't resonate with them. So I then go back, I look and I try. So every time I'm posting something, what happens is that goes into my activity feed. And again, people who want to know more about me. So let's say, Cindy, you're a potential customer and you're going, I've heard about this Cindy person. Let's go look at their LinkedIn profile and see what they're all about. Well, the first thing they're going to do after they see your opening picture and your profile is look at the about page. And if they don't have to scroll anywhere, they should get everything they need to know in those first 2 or 3 sentences. And then they're going to go to your activity page and they're going to go, oh, this person has written over 100 articles. And if I look, they seem to be posting them every week. And this person posts a daily video post. Oh, that's really interesting. And oh, look at the comments they've made on these other people. That's interesting. If you get kind of silly about it and you start putting frivolous comments on people who are just there for marketing purposes, it becomes really transparent that what you're really just trying to do is build a following.
Right. Yeah, if you're posting just great to 20 posts a day that are just mainly spammers, yeah,
and I don't really have the right answer. I know Gary Vaynerchuk would argue probably till he's blue in the face, just like I would, that more is better. But his target demographic is a 15 to 25-year-old alpha male, and they get bombarded with messages on their phone, and it's really tough to get their attention. But I think in our world, where we're trying to reach out to business professionals who may not be on the social platform as much as we would like them to be, our role as marketers is just to be consistent in our messaging, in our thought process, and the advice that we give, create content very thoughtfully. And then when people do come, they're going to go, oh, okay, I've seen this. I see that, every day there's something new from Dave. That's fine. He's not coming at me. He's not overtaking my news feed. But if you're only connected to 500 people, I might be. Because there are so many businesses that don't post, that if you're not really connected to people who post on LinkedIn, there's not going to be a lot in your news feed. So you might be overwhelming already, right? So, I mean,
it's so funny because I can relate to this, because this is actually, and I've been calling it my organic marketing plan for LinkedIn. And what and I'm going to start implementing it now this coming week. I was supposed to be implemented last week, but my mom fell and broke her hip, and there's been a lot of traveling back and forth between 2 states. So, but my plan was to just post a short video every day of Cindy's valuable thought for the day from the dog van, because that's what I call it, because I breed dogs on the side. That's my side hobby. And so every day when I'm driving somewhere, I'm just going to record like a 45 or, a couple minute LinkedIn video with my valuable contribution for entrepreneurs for the day. You know what I mean?
I've got to ask, what kind of dogs do you breed?
Italian Mastiffs.
So my next door neighbor breeds French Bulldogs.
Okay.
And she's one of the top breeders in the world, apparently. And literally Ferraris pull up to buy her dogs.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So you've got a good side hustle going on.
Yeah, we breed, they're kind of guardian protection dogs. So we breed ones that do sport competition.
Yep.
So, we actually have a litter of puppies coming up in July. We only do 1 litter a year. We keep it very small. We're very specific about our genetics and our bloodlines. So that was kind of my organic marketing plan. And I love the piece that you're adding to it that I think I would love to add to it, which is these connections that I'm making via the messaging about linking them to that post and then asking for their feedback. if it was of value to them, and asking if it resonated with them, you know what I mean? And to contribute to the conversation if they liked it. I love adding that piece, because I think that creates, again, that building of the relationship, the connections, and people thinking that they got something really of value from you.
Yeah,
You know?
I think the most important for me, the most important thing is that when people are commenting, that it's not the same person all the time, and that you're
Right.
getting different people's perspectives. I mean, how wonderful is it that 3 or 4 people a day from all over the globe. Yesterday I had somebody from China and Brazil commenting, as well as from North America. So I truly had a global audience giving their perspective on leadership from and what employees are looking for beyond a paycheck from 3 completely different perspectives. And
That's awesome.
and isn't it awesome? I mean, it certainly helps someone to definitely grow their mindset. I mean, I learned yesterday what a 996 is, and apparently that's a timing model for in the Chinese marketplace of basically people working beyond 80 hours a week. I had no idea what that was. I had to Google search it, but just because I saw the term, I Googled it, and then I posted that one. Hey, for those of you who don't know what this is, because I didn't, I'm transparent. I'm like, hey, I didn't know that,
Yeah. Yep.
So here's I'm sharing so that you don't have to go through the steps of Google searching it. Here it is. And so to me, that's curating awesome conversations. And I think that's authentic. And I think that's, if you're trying to really help your audience, that will play out. And if you can just create a library, curate a library of conversations, I think what would be wonderful for you would be to go to, what's the right words to use? Go to a place, maybe a local university or college where women are just getting started and asking themselves what kind of career they want to have, and have recorded conversations with them and talk about their aspirations and talk about how they set a mindset of what their vision is for 5 or 10 years down the road, and how do they live that vision every single day? How do they assume that identity every day? And then just share that, because they can't afford to buy you your services. So why not start where the learner is, or where the customer is, who really truly could benefit from your knowledge? Because I'll guarantee you that if you create something that changes their life, they'll come back, and it'll come back to pay you back in spades, right? So I mean, it's how it works. Karma is a really good thing. It just happens to come around and come around and come around. So, but
that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful for you. I mean, I often think, and so here's a fun one. Yesterday, my daughter is graduating from university, and one of her friends who I've known for probably 20 years. She also graduated from Queen's University and wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I said, hey, Emily, thanks for connecting. I didn't give her the normal, canned conversation, because I truly know her. And I said, I just took a look at your LinkedIn profile. And I said, as you know, I or may not know, I'm pretty proficient at what's going on LinkedIn right now. I've still lots to learn, but I'm maybe 60% of the way there. And I can probably help you out just based on what I'm seeing right now. Would you like to have a short consulting session where I actually just help you get some pointers? I'll record that, because the value in that for me is not only do I get to help a friend's daughter and somebody who I know, but also I can post that up, and she can share that with all of her friends. And then you just never know where that's going to lead to. I think that's the best kind of PR that anybody getting started in business, if you're in a business-to-business service industry, there's no better way than a testimonial of somebody who's happy, and the truly happy people are the ones who can't afford it.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, I see that as doing something nice and expecting nothing in return from it. And the selfish part of me knows that probably with karma being the way that it is, somebody will probably see that, and I might get some business out of it someday because somebody liked what I said. And I might not. And my payment might just be the fact that I helped somebody.
Right. Right. But in actuality, that's the whole idea that I had with the organic marketing. And it was something that I heard from a business coach whose program I took, was that as coaches, how we actually brand ourselves is through the value we deliver. Mm-hmm. And the more value you deliver for free, the more valuable you are going to appear when somebody actually develops a need. You're going to be the one they remember because you already have given them a lot of value for nothing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that is where the value in what we do comes from, is giving away a lot of value for free, so that when somebody has a specific issue they need to address, they're going to remember you as the person to come to.
Yeah,
and for me, somebody is like an entrepreneur and they want to get the mindset of where getting themselves in the mindset of abundance and being in the place of considering themselves and positioning themselves starting out in the mindset as that person and gain that confidence and overcome those self-doubts and fears.
Mm-hmm.
If I deliver that value up front in my content in small nuggets, I'm going to be the person they remember when they're ready to launch their business, and or they're launching it and it's not going exactly how they want, of, oh, Cindy might be able to help me change my mindset so that I get in that mindset of abundance from the place of confidence and overcoming self-doubt. You know what I mean? So that's, I think, how we are going to build the value in our brand of who we are, you know? So I love it.
Yeah, the only last point that I would sort of make in today's conversation is that don't be afraid to have long conversations like we're having today. Like this one here has gone about 42 minutes so far, and you often hear people talk about keep it to 60 seconds or less, or 90 seconds or less. Well, I'll be honest with you, it could just be a generational thing. But when I'm listening to somebody who I like how they talk, I like how they use analogies to make things make sense for me. I like the long format videos. And I think there's a lot of value when you can kind of draw out a conversation and continue to add value and give different points of view. I know I love going to Gary Vaynerchuk's YouTube channel and watching the 2-hour sessions where he does the 4Ds, you know, and he talks about a deep dive on digital marketing. And because the whole thing won't resonate with me, but little bits will. And I think today's youth, when I say that, the kids who are graduating from university or are of that age in their early 20s, they're using social media and their phones in a much different way than maybe you or I might. I know my kids certainly do. Everything is almost micro moments. And they're always adding to their Instagram story, whatever the heck that is, because I really don't understand it. I don't understand
Instagram myself.
I'm honest. I don't understand how to use it. I know my wife has got me on this on it here, and my kids tried to get me started on it. And you know, I think for me, it's about trying to master one platform at a time. And I think there's just so much value in LinkedIn. And I think the conversations are different and they're more real on LinkedIn than they are perhaps on Instagram and Facebook and the other social media platforms. Not that you shouldn't try to use them. I know there's lots of value in those platforms, but I think you have to, as a business owner, ask yourself, what am I trying to get from the conversations, the content that I'm creating? How am I trying to add value, and what's the best way to do that? And I think that daily little golden nugget's perfect for that executive who's, you know, maybe commuting into the office or has 15 minutes during their lunch to check their feed. And then they get to consume something for 60 seconds or 90 seconds. That's appropriate for the workday. But, you know, it took me a while to clue into who Gary Vaynerchuk was. And then when I started seeing him all the time, I went, okay, I'm going to look more into this guy. And when I go to his YouTube channel and it's updated daily, I'm like, it's excellent, because I go watch his keynotes. As a keynote speaker, I can pick up so much of a different way that he presents himself from other keynote speakers. There's a lot of things that I like about Gary and his approach that others don't use. So again, just even the conversations that he have in his roundtable discussions like this one, it's really interesting to hear other people's business challenges and just to hear the dynamic of the perspective of the conversation. I love that, being a fly on the wall and listening to two people have like a real conversation, and nobody's trying to sell anybody anything, right? We're just trying to help each other, and there's value in that. So yeah, so you know what, this was great. Was there anything else you wanted to sort of touch on today before we wrap it up?
Let me think here for a second. Well, okay. Well, I guess my real question is, so like when you post this up on YouTube, as being a relatively new marketer to the social channels, because I agree with you. I've made LinkedIn my focus. I have the Facebook page, I have the Instagram account, but I'm really just wanting to master one platform at first. And I've chosen LinkedIn as the one I'm going to. So when you do something like this and you post it up to your YouTube channel, let's say I share it over to my YouTube channel, do you just do like a short post on LinkedIn, just letting people know it's there? Or how do you get people over to that YouTube channel?
Great question. So what you can do from this, there's a number of different ways that you can use what we just did today for content. Because remember, the idea of creating good, compelling content is to document, not create. We're not trying to create commercials. We're just trying to create real life conversations where you can share your truth, you share your knowledge. So in that, we've just created a 45-minute session. We can post that up to our independent YouTube channel. So I can post it up onto YouTube, give you the link. You can then, if you want, you can either just copy the link into your playlists on your YouTube channel, or you can download the video onto your computer and repost it up as your own content for your own purposes on your channel. So the reason why you might want to do that is if there's a piece of really good content that you didn't create, but you want to have access to for years and years and years. So like I did a commercial for Umbrella sunscreen a few years ago. And it's a beautiful commercial, and I want to make sure it's always there. But if something ever happened to the company and they decided to terminate that video, it would be lost. I wouldn't have that link anymore. So I actually downloaded it with their permission and said, I'm going to repost this onto my channel so that I know it's always there, right? I don't have to worry about it disappearing. So that's the first thing you want to do is you have to decide, do I just want to link to that, or do I want to actually download it and repost it myself? So now you've got a long format video. Second thing you can do is you can have it transcribed. So there are services, free services that you can download. You can use a service like Fiverr, have somebody actually manually download or manually do the transcript for you. But you can turn it into a blog post just by having somebody else, just like you said, have the mindset of affluence so that you can hire somebody to do the work. So you've now created the text by creating the video, have somebody, record it, post it, and now you've got a blog post, a long format blog post of the dictation of this conversation. Then you can look at it and go, wow, that at 15 minutes there, that one little segment where they talk about that thing, that was really cool. So you can take this video and you can download it onto your computer, strip out either side of it and go, here's a little micro moment that I can throw out. I would say that part of my learning curve, the final thing you can do is a podcast, right? Just strip out the audio, there's your podcast. This is literally a podcast, only we've got a video version to it. So there's 4 different ways to take what we just did and redistribute that as content. So what I've also had to do is I've also had to go through the growing pains of using and learning how to use different video editing software. And so now I've got a video editing software program that I use, that I downloaded, and I made a note of it here. Bear with me 2 seconds. I knew I wrote it down just for this reason, and do you think I can remember what I wrote down? Because it's 4 letters, and it's on my computer in my other office, and I don't have, Anyway, I'll put it, I'll put it in the show notes of this YouTube video when it goes up of the video. But it's a really, really good video editor. I started off with Apple, their iMovie, then went to Movie Maker with the PC, and I've got PCs and Apple, so I'm going back and forth. And then one doesn't support it, and this one doesn't support that. Now I found a pretty good video editor that supports all of the editing tricks that I want to put in, like being able to do a video of a video, being able to, put your background music in, do all kinds of fun things. But in doing all of that, the trick is when you create a video, you want to create a hook at the beginning that gets people interested. So you snippet out that hook, put it at the beginning, and then you play a little intro and then a little long form version of the show. In a 90-second video, in my mind, you don't have time to do that. In a long format video, you do. So I've had to learn how to do video editing on my own, and I love doing it. I mean, I think that's something I learned from my dad when he was doing 8mm movies back in the day. He loved splicing them all together, and he would be blown away by what we have here today. But I think that's part of it, being a practitioner and understanding how to use the software that's available to create powerful videos. I don't have an elaborate lighting setup. I bought a couple of umbrella lamps just to make the lighting look good. I mean, I've got no lighting other than the outdoors here, just to show everybody that's outside, you know. I'm really just getting the daily light here. I got a window up there. So I've got some good lighting going on here. And that's all I need when I do these kind of shows. When I'm in my other office, it's more dim, and I've got a bank of lights, and I have to brighten it up. But beyond that, you know, I had a fun conversation the other day. Somebody said, you know, what recording equipment do you use? And I went, my iPhone?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be using something else? But even in joking, I mean, there's an adapter that you have to buy for your iPhone that goes into, if you buy a mic, a lavalier mic, there's just little things that you have to pick up that you have to sort of be aware of. But it's not cost prohibitive. It's literally, if you spent a couple $100, like I've probably in equipment beyond my computer, but in equipment, I've spent maybe $100, maybe $200 over the last 6 years in what I need to be able to record and create, you know, decent content. And even this, you know, my headphone and mics that come with your iPhone work totally fine for the audio for these kind of conversations. There's no need to be all mic'd up for any of that, right? So, yeah, I mean, just you've got to become a practitioner of developing content. And always remember that every day is a new at-bat. You know, I love the baseball analogy that every day you get to have another swing at the plate, and you might strike out 3 days in a row, but that, you know, your audience knows you're due for a good one.
Right.
You listen to a baseball game, oh, that guy's been in a streak for a month, but we know one's coming, right?
I love it.
And so yeah, and I think that way. I think, okay, like this morning I put out a video, and I was second guessing myself because I recorded, and that's the other thing. I batch record on the weekends. I batch record on the weekends so that I've got content to put out on a daily basis. I set it up every day. So when I wake up in the morning, like, so on the weekend, I batch record 5 sessions. They're 60 seconds to 90 seconds long. And then I edit them up, splice it up, do whatever I need to do, put in my graphics. So they're good to go. And then every day at the end of the day, say about 11 o'clock, I go to my computer. I do a thank you of gratitude to everybody who's commented on the day's posts. Then I set up the next day's post, and I mention everybody who's connected with me that day. And when I get up to do my workout in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, I walk into my office, I hit post, go do my workout. And then throughout the day, I only check it. Maybe I probably check my LinkedIn feed probably 4 times a day. And I just, because if somebody's commenting, I don't want to lose their attention. So 4 times a day, you know, usually on a break in the mid-morning, lunch, mid-afternoon, and then in the evening, you comment just the same way other people would be working during the day. Like I'm on the East Coast, so I have to think that a lot of my audience is also on the West Coast. I predominantly work in North America, although I've got followers around the globe. But I think in terms of that North American time frame, so I think, okay, so my friends that are on the West Coast, if I give them till 10 o'clock, that's the end of the workday, a little bit of a commute. If I sort of do a daily wrap up at 11 o'clock, that's good. And if somebody continues to edit or comment the next morning, I see that, I'll go, oh, you know, Cindy decided to join the conversation. I'll edit my comment, say, hey, I want to thank Cindy too. So that she gets the notice, right? That's important. I think there are little ways that we can show gratitude every day. And one of the, if you're a social media marketer, think about, again, the joy you feel while striving for your full potential every day. Well, you know, part of that joy is just be grateful that people are connecting with you, that you're actually making real conversations and creating quality content. So that, I mean, to me, I'm super grateful that that's happening. So I used to, with Sean Aker, there's a number of mentors that I have. I'm going to share with this with you. This is free on my website. It's called my Growth Mindset Journal. And you can see it's kind of.
I checked it out on your website.
Yeah, and so I mean, like, you know, here's today's notes in here, and I've got stuff going on. But the trick was, Sean in his coaching said you want to try to find at least one new thing to be grateful for every day. And once you get beyond, I'm grateful that I have a roof, I'm grateful that we have a family that's healthy, I'm grateful that there's food in the fridge, I'm grateful for the grass is green. Once you get beyond the regular stuff, how do you find gratitude to stretch your mind to really think, what's something new that I'm grateful for that I haven't already mentioned 1,000 times? That causes you to start being more positive because you start looking for things to be grateful for. And in doing this journaling, one of the top things that I'm grateful for every day is I met Cindy today from wherever, and she had this to say. And I met Joe from wherever, and he had to, I'm grateful that I met these people, because if the internet wasn't here, I would never have had that opportunity to meet those people in my life, or it would have been a very, 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 very rare chance that that could have ever happened. So, you know, and again, it's all in how you see it. If you set yourself up for experiencing joy every day, that's exactly what you'll experience. If you set yourself up for misery every day, that's exactly what you'll experience. Again, not rocket science.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you will create and attract the way that you perceive your environment. Yeah.
It's just really hard for people who are struggling. You know, it's hard because so many people who struggle, hate their jobs, don't like their lives the way that they're working out. You know, they want that greener grass, but they're not. And I don't even think it's fair to say they're not willing to do the work. They want it now, right? They don't want to have any more struggle. They've had enough struggle. And I can say, as an entrepreneur for 30 years, but the running joke used to be when I was in the advertising business, and you would have deals that just didn't go well, right? You'd get 3 or 4. I hate deals that include 3 or 4 people, because whenever you try to do a deal that's dependent on somebody other than yourself, somehow something falls apart. And my wife had a standing joke with me back when we were in our 20s, and she'd say, "Okay, is that another restaurant we can't go to?" Because I was doing a lot of marketing with people, and when what happens is, at the time with specific businesses, didn't like paying their bills. So, you know, yay, great idea, let's do this promotional marketing piece, and let's do this and let's do that. And then you'd be like, 90 days would go by and go, "Hey, are you gonna pay your bill? Like, I gotta live too. I like food. My kids like food, you know." And so, you know, it became this really awkward thing where they just, you know, they decide that they're not going to pay. And so as a business, as a young business owner, entrepreneur, it's really tough to ask for money. It's really tough to get that money up front. Thankfully, today we have things like here in Canada, at least, we've got eBrite, which is, an Eventbrite, which is just one form of payment that you can take before you actually go out and do an event. So you're not collecting money, you're collecting it all up front. I'm happy to pay the small fee to have somebody take that off my plate. So, but the point in all that is that people sometimes all they can see is the struggle. And when you reframe it to say, I'm going to be that successful person, that's the vision that I have, that's where I want to get to. But in order for that to happen, I have to start assuming the identity of that successful person today. You know, a couple of days ago, I made a comment. Somebody once asked me, and I rephrased this comment. Somebody once asked me, I've been married to my wife now for, this will be, 2019? This will be 29 years.
Wow.
And we're, as much as goofy as it sounds, we hate each other as much as ever, and we love each other as much as ever, which is a really nice way of saying we get along. We're awesome together. But people say, how do you do that? And I say, well, if I look back and dissect it again, we both had the same idea, the vision of where we wanted to be when we were 50, 60, 70, 80. Even though the material things might have changed, the people that we wanted to be has not. And the funny thing is, the more my online business grows, the more we can start to see that reality of traveling the world, because I go out and I speak and I get to go to different places and experience different cities, and I need an assistant to help me do that. And my wife is going, "Be your assistant." You know, like it works, right? All we've done is that I think when business relationships, when employees, when people in marriages, when that falls apart, it's because somehow the vision got corrupted. The vision is no longer a shared vision. You've got 2 different visions. And as an employee for an organization, I'll use that analogy because they're saying, how do we keep an employee in the gig economy who's a very valuable commodity? We want them to stay. Well, the visions have to be aligned. If it's like a marriage, as soon as one partner has this vision, the other partner has this vision, you know, you're not headed to the same place. And people can get that analogy. I mean, it's pretty simple. That's why people get divorced, is because we got together. We didn't have it was the heat of the moment. It was wonderful, you know, lust and dynamics and all those fun things. But was it right? Was it the right recipe for the long-term solution? And you know, that's an HR problem. When we sit down and hire people, what questions are we asking of them that's going to help create that vision where we both have that shared vision, right? So
right.
anyway,
I love it.
that's an hour. We probably should wrap this up.
Yep.
And if we don't, I'll keep talking forever.
That's fine. Well, this has been wonderful, Dave. Thank you. I've gotten a lot of information, a lot of value from it. I hope I've been able to impart a little bit of value of my vision to you.
Absolutely.
And I love that we have this shared marketing plan that I'm going to brainstorm on, and hopefully we can get back together for another conversation.
Absolutely.
And do another one where we kind of talk a little bit more in depth about how we're adapting it and what type of results we're seeing from it. So
it would be really great to hear about some of the successes that you have. I mean, the best thing to do is just share stories of instances where people comment, like really comment and say, hey, I've noticed your LinkedIn profile has changed, or I've noticed this, or I've noticed that, or somebody comes back with a good or a bad or whatever. Those are great conversations to have because people are scared of making mistakes. Don't fail and fail fast and move forward, right? That's how you get to the finish line. If you fail and get stuck, you never get there. Right. So fail fast and keep going forward.
Exactly. Fall, get up, go again.
Excellent. Cindy, thank you very much. This has been awesome.
Okay. Thank you. Very awesome. Have a good day.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.